attorney, a political analyst, an on-air personality, and the CEO of Impact Strategies, my favorite Graham to follow. Give it up for Angela Rye!
Hey, everybody. Hey, Beautycon. How are you doing? Well, guess what? I don't know about that good, but I got something good for you. There are two queens that I am elated to share the stage with today. They are women bosses. How many women bosses we have out there? Well, do you want to learn to be better bosses today? Well, I do, and I cannot wait to introduce to you all, well, to some of you. Some of you may know her as the CEO of Always Civil. She is one of the most powerful forces in entertainment and a key component to the hip-hop industry. She's an author. She's a philanthropist. She's a media maven. She is Karen Civil. Your walkout music was better than mine.
I don't even know what song this was.
Hi, everybody. Give it up for Karen one more time. And next to join us on the stage, she's a Detroit native. She's in Atlanta. Oh, D-Town is in the house. What's up, Detroit? She's an Atlanta powerhouse. All right, hold on. Don't preempt me on this. She's a hairstylist turned entrepreneur, the founder and CEO of the multi-million-dollar company, Snob Life. Please join me in welcoming Ming Lee to the stage. Hey! Hello, Ming.
Hello, guys.
All right. So hold on, almost lost the chair. This panel I'm so excited about because what we talked about backstage is that it was important for you all to see an authentic conversation, and I'm already inspired by the sisterhood and the friendship that exists here, and that's exactly where I want to start, because sometimes, ladies, as you know, when you first get into business, people almost set you up to compete against each other, and you all have never had that dynamic. So just for a moment, I want Karen to talk about how they first met and what her initial impression was of me.
Me and Ming met 7 years ago. So I was working with Beats by Dre. We were doing an activation in Houston, and I had a friendship with Trinidad James. You guys remember him? Okay. So I invited Trinidad James to the gifting suite with Beats by Dre. And he was like, I got somebody you should meet. You guys should be friends. And usually people don't do that. And so I was like, okay, cool. So he introduced me to Ming. Me and her took a picture. We ended up following each other on Instagram. And a couple months later, she reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm having my grand opening for my salon. Do you want to come? And I said, sure. You want to tell him your impression of me?
So I was like, Trinidad was like, this girl, you guys would be great friends. She's very business, like you need to meet her. Do you follow her on Instagram? So I'm like, okay, Trinidad, can you make sure I get a picture? And can you give me a formal introduction? Like, don't just send me off, like introduce me. And so he did, we took a picture, we exchanged information. Fast forward, I was doing my grand opening, and it was like, you need to have somebody host your grand opening, and it was giving me all these celebrities. And I was like, I want Karen Civil. And I was like, Trinidad, do you think she'll do it? He was like, ask her. So I was like, okay. And so I asked her, and then I was a hairstylist, so I was like, can I do your hair as well? So she was like, yes. So guys, let me tell you, she came and got her hair done, and she didn't say one word, but thank you at the end. So I'm like,
she was nice. At least she acknowledged and said
she was nice, like, but she was just
Quiet.
very quiet,
So
very to herself.
most people don't know, because when they see on social media, it's this big personality. I am super quiet and introverted.
And not me. I'm like, hey. okay.
So while I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I got time to answer my emails and do stuff. And she would be like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I was literally working in the chair. And then later that night, we went out because work Karen and off Karen are two
It's
different people.
two different things. So afterwards, she was like, do you want to go out? And I was like, yeah. When I tell you I had so much fun, I was like, we're going to be best friends. She was like, okay.
And then a couple months later, we went to, you know how you start a friendship. We decided to just go on vacation together. And I was like, it's a sink or swim type thing. So we end up loving each other because it was like 11-hour-and-a-half flight. We end up loving each other.
Where'd you
and
guys
it worked
go?
out.
We went to Dubai.
Are you taking me next time?
And
We
then
can.
That's a good first friend, huh? The first trip you go on is Dubai. Do y'all want to go too? Can we go?
And the crazy thing about it is that we both like to do the same things. We both want to get our pictures, and well, I want to eat, and she wants to plan the activity. So every time we go on a trip, we get downstairs. She goes to the concierge. I go stake out the restaurants.
And it works.
That is wonderful. The other thing that struck me about this story, this friendship story, is your first impression of her business. And ladies and gents and distinguished guests, the thing that I think is so important for us to hear, how many of us have had that first experience at a salon or someplace we've been dying to go to, and you walk in and you're like, wah, wah, it's not good. Well, that is not Karen's experience. I want you all to hear about this beautiful vision she painted. Karen, what did you see when you walked into Snob Life?
When I walked in, I wasn't expecting it to be so incredible. She had like the chandelier. She had the most amazing couch I had in my house. And I was like, oh, you giving this to your customers? Even her steps were like 10,000 crystals.
600.
Excuse me, 600 crystals. It was like amazing.
Karen was marketing. She was marketing right.
It was just amazing with how the bathroom, just her presentation was everything. And I would tell people when you go to Atlanta, I'm like, you have to go here. She was one of the first people to create her Snapchat filter. Yeah. So it's just, she set up her business to be so incredible. From her Yelp was set up, the Snapchat filter, just if you come in, there was like a discount code if you come back. And most people don't think about all those steps. A Facebook page, its own Instagram page. She was the first to do an Instagram commercial. So I was like, oh, she gets it. And marketing and branding is my thing, and that's what makes us click.
Wow. So Ming, what is the thing or some of the things that have pushed you into that level of detail and that spirit of excellence for your business? I think that's something that we all, me included as a business owner, could learn from.
So in high school, I always wanted to do, my dream job has always been to do a commercial for Super Bowl. So I always was into advertising and marketing, and I always knew product was king. I always knew product was king. So I was always like, even when I started my salon and I signed my lease, I always tell people, like, start with whatever you have. I didn't even have enough money to even decorate my salon when I signed my lease. And God willing, I did one sale, and I made like 200 grand. And I took all of that money.
Did y'all hear how much she made on that one? Say it one more time.
200 grand. I probably could have made more, but I only had me and my assistant packing orders that I had to cut it off because I was like, I'm very, very big on customer service, and I'm very, very big on giving a product. So I know when you walk into my salon, if you see I put this much effort in just you coming in and maybe being a client, just imagine how much effort I'm going to put in if you're actually a client. And so I've always been a strong believer of product is king.
Yeah. And Karen, one of the things that fascinates me about you all's story is what I feel like I've learned from you from watching you on social. And that is the relationship component for you is a key part of how you run your business. And I think it's so interesting because nowadays in a social media era, right, people think they could burn a bridge because it'll be gone like that and the next relationship pops up like that. Talk to us about why that's not real life, especially in business, especially as a branding and marketing professional.
So I live by the motto, never step over $1 to pick up a nickel. So that is the fast stage.
Tweetable moment.
And
Yes.
that dollar is your integrity, your brand, your business, your ethics, and everything else. And that nickel is just a quick buck. So many people are like, I just want the fast money. We live in a microwavable age, and that definitely is not something that I live by. You know, it's definitely important to keep your relationships growing, because someone you knew from 5 years ago to someone you get to know in 5 minutes, you can help cross brand, create synergies. And I'm big on making sure it's not just about how can this benefit me. I live in the age of I'm a giver, because your blessing will come from it. I don't have to be like, oh, I need my 10%, I need this, I need that. And that's why I love about my relationship with Ming, because it's like, hey, I want to introduce person. She'll be like, you should meet this person, and we just connect the dots.
So the other thing that is a fascinating story about you is the Lil Wayne album being produced while he was in prison. Followed your trajectory at Beats by Dre, and you just have a gazillion stories like that. Again, going back to this concept of burning a bridge, not just about the dollar, but also about the relationships. How key are your relationships for you as you continue to pave this way? This is just the beginning. Like, I feel like you have so much further to go.
It's very important. I grew up where I'm Haitian and Dominican. So in Elizabeth, New Jersey, it's very segregated. You had to be one thing. So I grew up with people having this prejudgment about me, like, oh, she's not black enough, or she's not this, she's not Haitian enough. So that always lived with me, where I don't judge people or put them in one box. So the relationships I build, may it be a CEO to the janitor, I make sure I treat everybody the same. And I don't put people I was able to work with, like the Nipsey Hussles, the YGs, or the Louis Vuittons, is because I don't look at them in different scales. These are all opportunities. These are entrepreneurs, and I see bigger.
That's amazing. Ming, for you, it's a key point, right? For you, you have Snob Life Studio, the hair salon.
Correct.
But you also have the overall brand. Talk to us about the components of the overall brand and what led you to say, all right, the salon is moving, I'm going to still manage it and own it, but I also have this larger vision that I need to put forth.
So at first I started off as a hairstylist, and so once I opened up my salon, it was an 11-chair salon, I realized that I could make it commission and I can earn 50% of everything come through the door. So I was like, it's time for me to start using my time a little bit more wisely and start opening up more brands. I started a hair.
Was there someone who mentored you through this process? How many of you all have mentors? Not that many. Did you have a mentor, Ming, to help you figure that out?
No, I wish I did. I had gut. Like, I read this thing about Oprah. She said she always follows her gut, and the few times she didn't, it was the worst decision she ever made. And so that's something I kind of live by, because if Oprah can live by it, so can I. So I just follow my gut, and I tell people everything that you want to know is literally on the internet. Like, you can literally research and learn everything that you want to know. When I wanted to open up a salon, I didn't know how to open up a salon. I didn't know any salon owners. I Googled it, and I'm a very big on trial and error. I don't mind making a mistake. I actually like making mistakes so I can really learn from them, and I'll never make them again.
Okay, that's a really good question, too. Karen, greatest mistake you've made?
Greatest mistake I made is doubting myself. You know, making the mistake of prematurely, when I was working at certain companies, I'd walk in and I would not believe in myself because I was the minority. I could be the only female, the only black person, the only black female. So I would sit towards the end where people would confuse me as a secretary or an assistant and not letting my voice be heard. And I was doing a disservice to myself. So from there, it took a couple months, and I had to realize, like, Karen, what are you doing? Like, you moved halfway across the country, and you are full of self-doubt. And I don't know what's happening. I had to have the pep talk with myself and just realize I got into this whole what would Kobe do? So I got into this whole mentality, and I'd walk in the room. I'm no longer sitting at the end. I'm sitting towards the middle. My voice is going to be heard. I'm not trying to raise my hand. It's like I belong here, and I had to remember that. And as I got to that place, I had to remember there were other people to make sure as long as the door opened for me, hold that door open for other people.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I belong here. Ming, what about you? Greatest mistake?
My greatest mistake would probably be having the superhero syndrome. And I call that, as an entrepreneur, you think you can do everything, especially if it's your baby. It's like, and so the superhero syndrome stops you from actually growing, because you can either grow a business or you can either maintain it. You can't do both. So me not hiring help soon enough didn't allow my business to grow fast enough, because I wanted to be the person who did everything instead of being the person who could delegate. I wanted to be the person who took I wanted to make sure everything was right. And so my biggest mistake was not getting help when I needed it.
Wow. And that's a good word, too, because in therapy right now, I'm learning about receiving. That's hard sometimes when you're like, I'll just give. It's easier to give, but you have to be strong to receive. So that's powerful. So one other thing that inspires me about talking to the both of you is so often we hear about the power of Black people as it relates to our buying power. So we always hear this 1.2, now almost $1.3 trillion in buying power for Black people. But we don't always talk about that Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs and have been for more than 10 years, right?
Forbes magazine told us that, yes.
Yes. And so the thing that I want to hear from you all now are just keys to success for the other women entrepreneurs in the audience, women of color, who are contributing to this economy in a major way, creating jobs, right? Using their own innovation and creativity to inspire the world with it. I heard that 200,000 on the first sale, Ming. So what are some of the other tips that you can give them to ensure that their businesses thrive? Especially in the climate we have right now in this country. But I'm not going to be political today, you all.
Well, number one, I always tell people is consistency.
Yes.
Consistency is key. And I think we get caught up in instant gratification. And so it deteriorates us from being consistent. Like, keep posting, keep making your YouTube videos, keep creating content, no matter if it only gets 2 likes or no views. Just keep doing it and keep being consistent. And start with what you have. Like, people always tell me, I'm just waiting for this to start now. Start with what you have. People love to look back and say, I have so many people in my comments, I remember when you was working in the red room. And so just imagine if I would have waited 3 years later until I got my salon to actually start posting videos and start creating content. So I tell people, start with what you have and release it to the world. Learn from your mistakes and grow.
I love that. Karen, what about you? She said, yes, me, yes.
The first thing with any business person is do not put yourself in this competitive state, and that's from people watching. So that will shorten your time. Your success will make you have this demeanor that's just not happy to run your business. So people quit after 90 days or a year and switch to something else. So that's one. Another thing is never stop learning. As a creator, like when Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I read their news updates. That's a big thing for me. So I know what's coming, how they're going to do certain things. So I'm already updated in my business on how to grow my followers, what it's going to be, because they like to change it constantly. And what else is there? Don't watch the clock. Keep learning. I think that's the biggest thing, is continue to keep learning. I'm watching TED Talks. I'm watching other people do things, and just making sure that, because when I first started, social media wasn't as big as it is now. So every day it's something new. So that's my first go-to. I don't pick up my phone and go to Twitter or Instagram. Like, I'm going to the news sites for them and figuring out what's happening in a digital space, what's happening in a marketing space, and making sure that I'm taking that information in.
I had a friend tell me once, I was trying to do New Year's resolutions, like what's one thing I could do different this year? And he said, start reading things, different magazines and stuff you'd ordinarily never pick up. And that year, probably about 10 years ago, I picked up Harvard Business Review, and I love that now. They have so many really good articles in there. So just even getting people to expand their horizons. Yeah. I know that we're supposed to, oh, good, we still have a little bit of time. I was going to say we're going to have more audience questions, too. But I think one other thing that I really want to ask you about, Karen, I'm not going to go political the negative way, but you have found a way to also use your marketing expertise and your branding expertise in the political sphere. Why is it so important for business owners especially to be engaged in the political process when those folks touch what happens and it can impact their bottom line?
It's definitely very important. For me, I got a chance to work on the Hillary Clinton campaign, and so many people were telling me, like naysayers were like, oh, but the stuff that happened in Haiti, XYZ. I'm like, listen, I have a platform and a voice. I just want people to go out and vote, understand what's happening in your community, around the world, in the US. It's our time. Like, I hate when people take us back, like, nah, you shouldn't this, you shouldn't that. No, my voice needs to be heard. So giving people that opportunity and that chance, but then diversifying it a bit where it's not the regular thing you go to. It's like Pusha T was out campaigning and doing certain things. Hillary did one tweet to go meet Pusha T, and 30,000 unregistered voters voted. That signed up and decided to vote with just one tweet. So it's this type of thinking that's important, and it's just like, it doesn't go from just a presidential standpoint. It's like your mayors, the governors, and all this stuff. That process is very important because we have a voice and we should be heard, especially with everything happening now. We should be voting in droves. Like, it's very important.
Ming, do you agree with that about voting?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, we just got our first female black mayor.
Yes.
And her name is Keisha.
I have a mayor named Keisha, even though I don't live in Atlanta. I love Keisha. Yes. Yes. So the only other thing that I really want to hit on is legacy. I want to start with you on this, Ming, because I want to come back to Karen on this. But when you think about the legacy that you hope to leave the world, this industry, what would it be?
My real legacy is, if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm a girl from Detroit. I started with $500. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a blueprint. I did it trial and error, but I succeeded. And every time I fell down, every time somebody knocked my blocks down, I picked them up. And it's okay. Sometimes people are not going to come help you pick them up. And it's okay to pick up your own blocks. And it's okay to just keep striving. And it's kind of like, I watched this thing about laying brick by brick. And the first day and the second day, it's only 1 or 2 bricks. But when you come back, it's a wall. And then it's another wall. And then at the end of the day, it's the biggest building in the world. And so my legacy is just, if I can do it, you can too. And start now with what you have.
Yeah, I love that. And Karen, I want to turn to you because there's a legacy that you were a part of building, and it's one that we lost this year, Nipsey Hussle. For me, I did not know him well, but the 2 conversations I had with him really stuck with me. This year, for me, man, I did not expect to be emotional about this, but for me, what I learned is that a lot of the work that I was focused on was so passing and fleeting and didn't matter. And you watch how he lived his life and the work you all were doing together, and it's like, man, I want to make sure, right, that I'm leaving something that my godkids and the people in my family can be proud of, and I'm creating a difference in the community. You've been a part of that critical work when nobody was looking. Talk to this audience about why it's so important, not just to brand build, but to build a community.
The wonderful thing I loved with Nipsey is he got it when it came to legacy. It wasn't just about how much money I'm going to have, me. It was about giving back to a community that gave him so much. So from STEM programs to playgrounds to just people saw him as one thing, and he identified as someone else, as an entrepreneur, a businessman, and he wanted that same thing for his community, where you just go, oh, Crenshaw and Slauson. So when you see his Marathon clothing store, it was something you would think was on Melrose, you know, from all the things he was investing in, bigger and better, and just creating a marathon where we continue to go and grow and give back to a community that has given him so much. That's really what it's about. That's something that I live by too, and just with a lot of the clients that I have, they have that same mentality, and that's really important because it's about being self-serving and not about self, and that's one thing that I loved so much about Nipsey being a friend to just him being somebody that I worked with.
Wow. So we have time for questions. I didn't mean to get emotional, Karen, I'm sorry. But know that that's just the power of who she is, and you get to see a very genuine moment and a legacy that she helped to build, and I know will continue to carry on with the powerful work she's doing and with all Ming is doing. So at this time, we have a question over here. You can state your name.
Hi, my name is Nitra. Hi, everybody. Sorry. My question is for Ming. So I went to hair school and I did the whole everything. And I just want to know, like, what keeps you pushing? Because now I have a baby, so I don't have, like, time to do very much anymore. So I don't know if you have a kid or not, but, like, what keeps you going?
Yes, I do have a kid. She's actually just made one. What keeps me going, honestly, is her. And the time, I don't know where I find the time, but honestly, I had to cut back on my personal time. And so, like, going out to eat with my friends or doing, like, errands and stuff like that, I had to figure out how to consolidate, and I had to give up a little bit of my sleep. And then I put my daughter on a sleep schedule, so then I learned to work at night. So I learned she goes to bed at 8:30, so instead of going to hang out with my friends, I learned that's the time that I handle my emails, I handle my invoices. That's the times I look for new products. That's the time I figure out how to grow me after, you know, because having a baby, it turns your life upside down, like literally upside down. So, no problem.
Thank you.
Testing.
Are there other, one more question. It's hard to see. Y'all not giving us no lights out here. Yes, I see you, sis.
Hi, I have a question for Ming. My name is Jazz Anye, and can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hey.
Hey.
Okay, so Ming, when you left Detroit and you went to Atlanta, right? And you knew you needed to be around like-minded individuals, right? So I'm about to make that move from St. Louis to Houston in less than 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have no family, I have no friends. What advice do you have for me?
Get out and meet people. That was what I did when I moved to Atlanta. I waitressed, so I got a job, and I just got out and meet people. But I'm a very, very, very friendly, hey girl kind of girl. So I would just say, look up events, start going to events, start meeting people. If you're a hairstylist or you're a makeup artist, start doing collaborations with other makeup artists or hairstylists. Just to get in the crowd and get to know the city. Try to sign up for some give back stuff. Like, just make sure your feet always, I have this rule where your feet always got to be moving. So just make sure when you get there, you hit the ground running. Like, no downtime. It's hit the ground running.
I just wanted to add something to that. So at the end of this month, James Harden has his James Harden weekend, and he curates an event for women, and I'd love to invite you.
And I'm going.
So you'll be able to meet about 100 different CEOs, entrepreneurs. So we would love to have you. I don't know if we can get you to come on the side, and I'll get your information.
Karen, she looked like Do y'all remember The Price is Right when they said, come on down? She was like, I'm good. She gonna have 500 new friends in here like, hey girl, take me. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah. One more over here.
I can't find y'all with no lights.
Hi.
Okay, thanks.
I'm Aisha. My question is for Karen. I love how basically you're so authentic and from what you tweet and just how you're just such a phenomenal woman. How do you stay true to yourself with being in this cutthroat industry from a young girl like me just trying to find her way and be confident and really do what she loves?
It's about listening to your own voice and not being drowned out by what society wants for you. A big thing for me, as my mom would say, is continue to live civil. And from there, it was not letting society dictate the life that I see for myself. And that's really important. It is going to be a struggle at a point, but you put on the cape and you become your own superhero. Don't have the self-doubt. Understand the importance. Even on days where you feel low, have that conversation with God. Get into your journal. Watch, another woman who may have some sort of empowering type YouTube channel or saying something on social. I have Post-its all over my mirror that are reminders to myself, like, love yourself, remember to smile, what's important, because I'm not looking for the validation of the outside world. And that's really important, to continue to keep your head high and just have those conversations with yourself. Be your own superhero so you don't have to worry about anybody else saving you.
I love that. So we are officially over time, but Karen just left a powerful closing word of advice. Be your own superhero. Ming, really quick, something really quick so we don't get snatched off the stage by security. Closing words of advice.
Closing words of advice is basically surround yourself around like-minded people really quick. Some days I'm going through having a really bad day, and guess what? I wake up to a book from Karen just saying how amazing I am, be great, I'm thankful, I'm appreciative of you. And that right there, she doesn't even know it, saves me from having a bad day, just waking up to those motivational words. And so I just wanted to say thank you.
I love
Love you.
Thank you all so much to Karen and to Ming, my new sisters. Thank you all. You all were wonderful. And we dropped like